Hey, I'm Aleesha Bake.
I'm Jen Greenfield.
And I'm Jen Tophoney. VO Booth Besties listen to the questions you have.
We find pros in the know to help you learn.
And connect with our amazing VO community. Welcome to VO Booth Besties.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to VO Booth Besties. Like our intro said, we're here to help working voice actors get your most important questions answered by industry pros who know. Each week, we'll have a new topic and a guest speaker who is an expert on that topic. Speaking of which, we want to be sure you are all current on all our awesome speakers we have coming up and other exciting opportunities. You can get on our email list, and we have started a Facebook group. I know so many of you are in like a million Facebook groups, but ours is different. Ours is special. We have a big announcement about transitioning away from Clubhouse as well. And so we hope you'll go over to the VO Booth Besties group and join and find that announcement tonight. We'd also love for you to be on our email list. So you can join that at boothbesties.com. I'm a mess, guys. You can hear it in my voice. I'm so sorry. A quick bit of housekeeping in order to stay on topic and get as many of your questions answered as we can. We're actually going to keep hand raising turned off. However, the chat will remain open, and this week I will be monitoring that. Now, without further ado, our guest will be here shortly, but let's go ahead and introduce her. Over to you, AB.
All right. Yep. I was just popping her a message really quick. We have tonight Lau Lapides, and we are thrilled to be joined by her. She has been a professional actor, voice talent, director, and producer for over 40 years. She is the owner and president of Lau Lapides Company with hybrid online and in-person studios in Boston, New York City, and LA. She is also the proud pioneer and VO talent agent artist for MCVO. It's a division of Model Club Inc. in Boston with a voiceover roster showcasing the top talent from coast to coast, representing talent from 5 countries worldwide. MCVO serves clients regionally, nationally, and internationally in genres ranging from commercial to industrial to animation. In addition to MCVO, Lau's boutique coaching studios offer top-tier training for voiceover talent with a global coaching team of award-winning, nationally recognized broadcast and media pros. This includes the recently launched Talent Inner Circle, or TIC, which offers online coaching programs and resources for all levels of voiceover talent. And I am going to send it over to you, JT. I can't see, do we have Lau in the room yet?
No.
No, we do not.
I did just email her.
Yes, and I texted her. So let's just chat a little bit first about maybe what we wish we'd known before we applied to an agent.
Yes, and feel free to pop in any questions that you have in the chat, and we will either address those until Lau gets here or save them for her. So some of you may have heard my story before, but I waited. I was doing this for almost 15 years before I decided to go ahead and submit all of my stuff for representation, because I had no idea how to do that, where to do that, if I had enough experience to do it. Like, did I need to be running commercials nationally? Did I have to be in the union? And so I just thought, well, you know what? I'm doing okay. I don't need to go that far. And so I waited. I waited a very long time because I just wasn't sure when the right time was to do that. I know your story is a little bit different than mine.
Yeah, I got this idea, and I don't know, I bet there's some people in the room who have felt the same way, where I thought that the only way to be successful was to have an agent. That is this mentality that seemed to be pervasive right from the beginning. That it was like, oh, you have to have an agent. This is what's absolutely necessary. And I just got this idea in my head that that was what I needed to be successful. And that until I found an agent, I wasn't going to be successful. So, sorry, I've got a message from Law, so I'll let you take over for just a second,
Sure.
and I'll send her a link. She's
Okay.
the link.
Yeah. So I my yeah, I kind of felt like I wasn't able to consider myself a professional until I got that agent, which was really kind of ridiculous after 15 years, and I did have national spots, and so that just didn't make sense. But again, I didn't know what what I should be doing. What ducks did I need to have in a row to be able to approach an agent and say, "Hey, I think we'd be a good fit for each other."
So what
So,
changed, JT? What made you decide after 15 years then to start looking for
uh,
agents?
uh, the funny thing was, because my background is audio production, I'd produced my own demos, and at one point I decided, okay, you know what, I need to have them professionally produced. So I went to J. Michael Collins and I did some coaching with him, and he asked me during one of our sessions, who are you represented by? I said, I'm not. He's like, what do you mean you're not? I said, I'm not. He said, well, you need to be. And he started rattling off a list of names of people that I should contact, and said, let me know if you need an intro to any of these people, because I'm happy to do it. So I was like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, you definitely can go ahead and get some representation. So it it took a nudge for me to jump off the deep end and go ahead and get my agents. And that was last year,
Yeah, and see,
last
I, on the other
January.
hand, was seeking it out from the beginning. I was emailing agents. I was applying to every roster that I could. I I came in with all the confidence in the world and got nowhere really fast. And I, like you, coached with someone, and I had a demo, and when I was coaching with them at the end of the coaching session, they were like, it was Roger Becker, who I love, and he doesn't coach anymore, but we're going to have him on the show later on. He's a talent agent now. And he says, what do you want? Like, what can I give you in this agent, in this industry? I will help you with whatever you want. And I said, I really want an agent. And same thing. He was like, you don't have an agent. And so he got me an agent, and I waited about 2 weeks, and they called me, and I was like, I thought I'd made it. And I realized really fast that agency work is less than 10% of our overall work, and that I just needed to keep hustling and doing the things I was doing. So,
Yeah,
we get this idea that it's the end all be all of everything, but it's not the most important thing, right?
no.
And Law said she's going to join.
She's
I'm not,
here.
oh,
She's here.
there she is. Yay. Okay. That's
And
you.
Law, we're so glad you made it. We gave you a lovely intro, and you'll have to just listen to the replay to to hear that. How
I'm
are you?
super excited to be here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I'm terrific. Thank you for inviting me in. It's wonderful to talk to all of you. And I have to agree with Aleesha. I think that is right on. I don't think that anything is end all be all in voiceover. I really feel as an entrepreneur, we all have to work hard and hustle and have a lot of buckets that fill up our days. And so I agree. I do think it's a mistake to just rely on one source for work. I think it's wise not to put all the eggs in one basket and really work hard to diversify your portfolio so that you're really, God forbid something goes down. You're not completely relying on it like that business that has two or three big clients, and then they can lose those clients and their whole business is gone. So,
Mhm.
so that was a great point. Thank you for making that one.
Well, so we did. I read your bio. We did an introduction. Apart from what we read, there was so much more to your story. You've won multiple awards in recognition of your contributions to your community. You've written articles for multiple industry publications. You're currently a contributing expert for Backstage Magazine and Canvas Rebel. You have your own podcast called Be Happy, Be Heard. And man, that's a lot of hats to wear. So I want to start with that. Which of those things is your favorite hat and which is currently your main focus?
Ugh. Wow, that's a hard one. You couldn't start with something easier. It's a great question, though. Yeah, wear a lot of hats. I think that partly it's the nature of what we do, and now that I'm a rep and I'm an agent, we do a lot. We move fast. We're always hustling for work. But I think that, way before I was an agent, to be quite honest with you, that's my nature. It's kind of my makeup. I was a performer. I was an actor for many years. I became a voiceover talent, did both, became a producer and director, college professor. I did that for 10 years before I opened my studio. And then when I opened my studio, sort of the ceiling burst, if you will, like with all the opportunities and possibilities that were happening. And at that time, it's really interesting. At that time, that was about almost 15 years ago. I've had my studio. We were starting one of the worst recessions that the U.S. had ever seen, and that was the first 5 years of my business. And anyone knows that if they're starting any kind of business, the first 5 years is the hardest time. It really is. More businesses go down in their first 5 years. So one of my one of my big purposes was to simply not go down and just to stay afloat. For me, failure was not an option. So in order to do that, I felt like I had to be very diverse. I had to have a variety of things going on. I couldn't just rely on one because I really didn't know the market yet. I had no idea what the market was. At that time, I was not an agent. I was starting a studio and putting together a coaching team, and had delusions of grandeur to do full scale production work. And I didn't even know about showcasing yet, that I was capable of doing that. That was something that came into play a few years into it. But all I knew was I wanted to pay the rent, I wanted to stay in business, and I wanted to have a studio. And so in order to do that, I had to say yes more than I said no. So some of my favorite things have been coaching, because I'm a real mama. I'm a mama in my personal life, and I'm a mama at my studio, and I'm a mama in the agency. We have a very personalized, caretaking, sort of high touch approach to everything we do, in caring for people and taking care of people. I always feel like it's about people first, then stuff, then money. So I always kind of followed my heart in that regard. Coaching was a big deal. Producing and directing was a big deal. I was still doing live theater. This was way before COVID, and loving it, really loving it. That was my whole background, believe it or not, coming from the stage. And then moving, slowly transitioning into media and multimedia, and finding my way through TV, film, voiceover opportunities. And lo and behold, I was starting to really flower out the studio into larger markets. So starting out in New England, I had these, my utopia was to be in New York or LA. That's really where I wanted to be. And my dream sort of came true, because I was able to create signature showcasing experiences that I would mirror from my conservatory days and my graduate school days, where I could take actors and voice talent and showcase them in front of the best agencies and casting and producers in the world, really arguably in the world. And the cool part of it, Jen, is that what I could not do for myself as an actor when I was younger, I became for other people. So
I
I
love
got really ballsy, Like I grew some chutzpah. You better believe it. I was a meek little lamb when it came to myself, but when it came to someone else, I would run you over with a truck in order to get that person the opportunities they need and deserve. And so that's the mama in me. And so that became my value proposition to do that kind of thing, and then skip right into the COVID days where I had the bright idea to open an agency division for voiceover, because I feel like when you're a business person, you're always looking for, what the pain points are. Like people are in trouble, they're hurting. Why are they hurting? Well, in the New England community, we didn't have a voiceover division. There was no representation of that, and that made me feel bad. I'm a union member. I wanted to have representation for not only actors but voice talent. And so I pitched this to all of my agency friends in New England, and I was shot down by everyone but one. And lo and behold, I was brought in to literally start, pioneer, and create the MCVO talent division of Model Club Inc., which is housed in Boston, and now is 3 years old. And now we're all over the world. We represent 5 different countries. We got a ton of people from not only my home state of Massachusetts and New England, but also every state in the country, really, and 5 other countries. So it's incredible. It's really incredible. I hope that answered your question.
It absolutely did. And I was just going to say that is incredible to just step in and say, okay, I need to do this. You need to let me do this. And wow. So going back to the reason that we wanted to have you speak tonight, um, what do you say a talent needs to have ready before they approach an agent? I mean, there's a lot that goes into this question, so um, let's break it down into pieces and start with experience. What do you think they need in terms of coaching?
Awesome question, Jen. Awesome. I am a strong advocate for coaching. Of course, I'm totally biased because I'm a
Well,
coach and I've been coached myself for years. But I love coaching because, um, unlike a group dynamic, which is you also need that as well. I don't think coaching takes the place of everything else. You need classes, you need group dynamics, you need your group accountability. You definitely need that. But there's something about coaching, especially if it's one on one, that is very like that mix of therapy and accountability and tools and techniques. It's just with a really great coach and great coaching team that's on your side, they really need to hold your feet to the fire and keep you on momentum and accountable, but also kind of get you. They have to work at your pace. They have to make it workable for you and your life, because everyone's coming into it from a different place. We don't have an off the shelf approach like, you must coach every week or this amount of time every week or must do this, because that would be very limiting for a
right,
lot of the people coming in from who have other careers that they need to sustain, or they have families, or they're traveling. I really do think that voiceover is one of those crafts and careers that can mold itself a little bit around your life and your lifestyle, as long as we're realistic about what our goals are and what we're trying to achieve. I always joke with my team and my clients. I say things little things like, I'll say, I would really love to be a 22-year-old Scandinavian supermodel, but that ain't happening. It just ain't happening. If y'all saw me, it ain't happening. And I say that to prove the point that that shouldn't be my goal. It's not
right,
realistic. It's not attainable. It's not achievable. So you want to work with coaches and a coaching team that can sort of keep it real for you, talk truth with you, and keep you on the ground, but also elevate you, and keep your big dreams alive, and get your goals going so that your dreams have some deadlines hooked onto them. So I think it's an art form. I think it really is to be a great coach and to have a great coach or coaching team. And I do believe in an organic approach too. I don't think one coach is necessarily enough. I think that we grow and change, and I like different coaching personalities and approaches and different mindsets. And I think that that really helps us to grow and flourish in our careers rather than sticking to one coach and falling into a mindset that I have to please this coach. I have to make them like me. I have to make them proud of me. I don't want to let them down. It really shouldn't be about that coach, their person. It should be about the goals at hand in your career. And you should have a great working relationship with the coach, but not be doing it for them. It really has to be for you.
Absolutely. And yeah, the point of having the goal is that's so important. I think a lot of people jump in without having that, what is your ultimate reason for getting into this? So after coaching and when you feel like you're ready, I think everybody's next step is the demos, right? So before submitting to an agent, does a talent need to have a professional demo?
Yes, they do. They need to have that demo. And I would suggest that you work with your coaching team to really focus and target the kind of work that you want to be getting. And you should really know what that is. It doesn't mean you can't diversify, you certainly can, but you should upfront know the genre of work that you are best at, that your strongest suit, and that you really like, if not love. And create a demo that is specific to that genre. And then you want to target the agents or casting or producers or private clients that really handle that kind of work, that kind of client base. You want to be careful of going after, say, commercial agents and then sending them too many other kinds of demos. We get that a lot at the agency. We'll get like animation and narration and e-learning, and I'm really always impressed by that. I'm never offended by that. I never look down on that talent. I always feel like they're working it. They're putting together their portfolio. They're going in different avenues. But then I'll come right back to them and I'll say, "Hey, where's your commercial demo?"
Mhm.
Well, I don't have it yet. Well, I'm working on it. Well, I'm upgrading. I said, well, that's fine. We'll keep these as a placeholder for you, but just know we kind of need that because that's our bread and butter industry. That's 90% of our work that we're going to get as commercials. So if a producer wants to listen to you, or one of our clients needs to hear you or wants a demo submitted, they really do want it in the genre of work that they're casting for.
Right. Now, have you ever accepted talent with a homemade demo?
Um, I'm sure I have, but I think the caveat to that, Jen, is that they've been audio engineers.
Okay.
They've been people that are proficient in pros at cutting their own demos. We typically can hear as a team if it's like, been put together in a garage or a basement. It's not industry standard. It has, reads on there from like Feline's Basement and Leechmere and Enron. You know what I mean? So it's like
Mhm.
it can be quickly obsolete or dated, or the quality of the audio is poor. Any number of things is a dead giveaway. Or another one is they're using copy from online. That's a very typical mistake that a lot of VOs make if they're putting together their demo either on their own or with their coaching team, is to grab online scripts and just kind of record those. And they have to realize that they got that script easily, so did a million other people.
Right.
So if we hear
Right.
that, we know it becomes a demo mill, or they're just throwing it together because they don't really know any better. So that's something that you have to be really, really careful of. That's a giveaway that it wouldn't be a professional demo, because you have to kind of trick people's ear into thinking that it's real work, that it's fully produced real work. So ultimately, I shouldn't be able to tell the difference between a job that you got paid for and a read that you're doing in your demo session. I really shouldn't be able to tell the difference. It should be fully produced, music, sound effects, completely cleaned, like perfect, really perfect sounding, because you're not in real time, you're in recorded time. And in recorded time, it should be perfect. If there are any mistakes, you got to catch them and take them out. And so you need a really good qualified team to catch those mistakes and have the right software and be able to have the gift of putting together a beautiful vocal portfolio for you.
Now, one of the other things I've noticed is that the trend seems to be shifting, especially on people's websites, toward samples, like individual samples versus a demo with just 15, 20-second clips of the spots. So, what about a playlist of professionally produced samples rather than a single demo reel?
I think it's great, Jen. I think you should do both, actually. I mean, I think in your ultimate universe, if you have a website and you're sending a link or you have an online profile, you're sending the link out, above the fold before we have to scroll anywhere should really be your demos. And if you want extended versions, like a la carte, full versions of each one of those jobs, that's awesome. I would totally do that. You just run the risk that the person listening may not have as much time to listen to 2 or 3 extended pieces.
Mhm.
And if they're moving fast and they're doing a casting, it's simpler and quicker to expedite a 1-minute demo, which they still may not listen to. They still may only listen to 20 or 30 seconds if they love the voice. I mean, a lot of a lot of people are very guilty of that one. So I think it's great. I just know it may or may not be listened to. So I would put it all on there and put it on there in priority of how you want it seen and how you want it heard. And the most pithy, quickest bites that represent your voice should always be up front.
Okay, that's great advice. Um, so, the big question of the night is, how do you know you're ready to take the step and look for representation?
It's funny. I was just talking about this out at VO Atlanta when I did my commercial panel, which I love so much. And I got a question similar to this. And I feel, I mean, this is my opinion, of course, but I feel like if you're working with a good team of people or a great coach, they're going to help advise you as to your readiness of when you should be shopping your work. Okay, it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It just means you want to check in and you want to get a community response of people who know you and are working with you to see where you're at. I I'm one of those people though that I love giving chances and firsts to people. So I don't necessarily need someone who's worked before or who has an extensive resume, or who's famous. We have people on our roster like that who are really, really big. But right next to them, we have people that are a fraction of their age who have never done a professional job. And I really love that. Part of it is my own personalization of remembering many, many times in my life what it felt like to just never have a chance that I needed to have to walk through the door because I didn't have this credit or that credit or know this person or that person. That being said, it really does have to be competitive, industry standard. It has to show you off 100% to your ability. And it has to be something that would reasonably again sound like work. It can't be something outside of that because no one would offer you a chance to work if they didn't feel like you were representing their shingle or their business professionally. So when you work with an agent or anyone else for that matter, any client that you're going to work with, you're representing their work, you're representing their business. So you always want to have the best practices ready to go in what you're presenting to them. And everything we do is a work in progress. So never think of anything as really being done. It's just I'm catching it in a certain place that is readiness to be heard or be housed in an agency. But I'm working on another demo now and I'm doing my extended versions and I'm updating my website and I'm a work in progress. So that development is really important to have over the course of your lifetime. And we're doing it too on our end for our businesses. We're never done, far from done. We're
Oh,
always rebranding, re-envisioning, reigniting, right?
always, always. So, to speak to that, where are some places how do you suggest people find the right agency matches? You were saying that people come to you with the e-learning demos and the animation demos, and that's not what you do. Where can they find, like, where's a good place for people to start looking at agencies they want to be with?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. And that's why, when we run our studio, and we have colleagues that do this as well, the branding, business, and marketing aspect of what we do is so, so important. You've got the actor's craft and the delivery craft and the technical craft of what we do, but the business end is really, really important. So you need to do a lot of work. You need to do a lot of homework and do a lot of research. We resource people all the time. So whether it's, let's say they're going to go to a live audition or a live showcase, let's say they're going to do a blast where they want to paste their information and demos nationwide or to particular regions, or maybe they want to do put together an email introduction of themselves and their work. We're helping people do all of these because I don't think one avenue is a fit for any one person. I think that they have to discover what they're comfortable with, and also they have to delegate, right? So you guys, as you grow bigger in your business and your business grows, your team has to grow and your services have to grow. So you have to delegate jobs to other people when you're ready to do it. Not at the start. You don't have the budget to do it, and you don't oftentimes have the know-how or knowledge. But as you grow over time, you're going to need help, right? Because we don't know how to do everything. We're just not proficient in everything. And we don't always have the time for the learning curve of everything. So your team will grow as you grow, and they're going to help you with some of these items like marketing, which is a 24/7 endeavor. Marketing never ends. You can be huge, big, massive. It doesn't matter. You or your team are always marketing you, always, and doing business, like having PR going on all the time, making sure you're doing contributions to the community, to publications, to magazines, to podcasts and blogs. You always have to think, how can I be as active as I can in our community and outside of the community, because you want to grow a client list too. Like, you may want to work with mom and pop shops. You may want to voice for technology firms. You may want to work medical. So you're going to have to start putting together hit lists, or get help putting together hit lists of places that you're going to target with your package, and be sending them your updates, keeping in touch with them, and really getting organized. So I think organization, whether you have a CRM tool or whether you're just, doing an Excel sheet or doing a Word doc, however you like to work is A-OK. There's no right or wrong way. I mean, I love sticky notes. I've been in business almost 15 years. I got sticky notes everywhere. I put them on my husband. He walks around with sticky notes. I mean, what? My kids had sticky notes on their butt for years. It's okay. Like, whatever works for you is fine. That's the identity of your business, your personality, and how you want to show up in the world. And it's got to be on your timeline, not anyone else's. No one's keeping score. It's really on your timeline.
I love it. That was really, really great advice. And if you don't mind me breaking in just real quick, we can do a half-hour room reset. If you've just joined us, we're VO Booth Besties, and our goal is to help working voice actors get the answers to their questions from pros like Lau who know. Tonight, we're joined by the remarkable Lau Lapides, and we're discussing what voice actors need to know about submitting for representation. And I will toss it back to you, JT.
Thank you very much. Before I go on with my list of questions, NJ, do we have any questions from the chat?
Not really, but there's a couple that I thought of as we were going through. Law, when a person is reaching out, when they feel like they're in a place to submit to an agent, is it better, or do you prefer a cold call or an email?
Oh, great question. Um, and again, I'm only speaking for myself and what my sort of working knowledge is of working with a lot of agents that I'm friends with and other casting folks that I'm friends with. In a general sense, we never want phone calls ever. We just don't. We don't do that anymore. What we do is if we have a relationship with you, like Aleesha could have my phone and she could text me and say, like hypothetically, Law, where the heck are you? You're supposed to be on Clubhouse tonight.
I don't know
And
what
I
you're
would be
talking
like,
about.
oh my God, where's the link? Okay. So that's always good to have text, be able to do that. But you want to have a little bit of a established relationship for that. You wouldn't be texting people that you don't know yet. You wouldn't be calling them. They just don't need you to do that. You'd want to submit via email. That's really still the industry standard. And you'd want to have a really good cover letter for yourself to introduce yourself. And I always follow the rule: kiss it, KISS, kiss it. Keep it short and sweet. It's really important because none of us read a whole lot. Well, we read a lot, but we don't want to read a lot in one email. We have to read like hundreds of emails every day because you guys know this already. All the castings are coming in on email, all the breakdowns are on email, all the clients are on email. So we can't read too much in one email. So you want to keep it short and sweet, no more than a very short paragraph. You want to use poppy words, poppy language. And just, add your link in there. Don't send attachments. We don't want attachments. Just your link to either your website or your online presence. And then if you add your social media channels, that's totally fine. You just have to be careful. Like go over them and scrub them with Ajax. Scrub them, meaning take off anything that's weird, controversial, creepy, stalkish, too political, etc. But just be careful about that because you're reaching out to people you don't know at all. So you have no idea how the perception is going to be if they Google you and they see you somewhere on a social channel, and it's crazy. So just like before you do it, go over everything that a prospective client or agent or producer could pop up within 2 minutes on Google or on your website or
That
socials.
that's a really great golden nugget because a lot of people. I even helped one voice actor. She had sent me an email, and just by chance, she had in her signature block some of her socials, and I clicked on them. They didn't work. And so that's just to your point, like not only scrub it for, because obviously that's going to be a first impression, but also make sure your stuff works. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I would
Um,
I would agree. I would test everything all the time. And believe me, you guys don't like be freaked out about it because we're all going through it. Like my stuff breaks all the time. Links break, things happen. You're dealing with technology and technology is very fragile. It works today and doesn't work later. So you have to be patient with that, but do the due diligence, whether it's you or someone on your team or someone in your family. Just check it. In fact, one of the items I got from the Atlanta conference that I actually forgot about and I was reminded that I loved was Google yourself every now and then. Pop yourself up on Google and see where you're listed. Where are you listed and what does it say? And what projects are you connected to? Because that's exactly what your prospects are going to see when they pop you up on Google, and they're going to talk about like the first 3 or 4 things they see. So if they say, hey, you worked at this college, how was the teaching? You say, wait a second, that was a long time ago, I don't even remember. They'll say, well, wait a second, I found it on Google, is it not accurate? So just look through the lens and through the eyes of the people that you're sending your portfolio to. See what they see before they see it.
That's perfect. Now, can you share with people in the audience? Our Thursday night, oftentimes we have maybe newer VO folks or people who just kind of want to revisit, VO 101. And could you kind of speak to the difference between regional agents versus more like national agencies? And how does that differ? Does the work differ? Are they all still getting the same auditions? Can you kind of speak to regional versus larger agents?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's great, Jen. So, simply put, regional agents are reps that are in a particular region. So I'll use New England for example. I'm based in Boston, so the region for us would be the New England states, all of the New England states. So when an agency signs an actor, whether they're on camera or voiceover, they're typically going to sign them across the board for the region they're in. And that has changed through the years. It used to be the state that you're in. Now they want to cover larger territories. So, buyer beware for those of you in the audience who are a little bit more experienced in getting contracts from agents, that you have to read that contract really, really well, because they are now using the word worldwide. Worldwide. That's a scary word to use, and it's legal, which means you can't sign with anyone else anywhere in the world. So be careful of that stuff. If you're in a region, you can sign a contract in that region, or you can freelance in that region, and you're typically going to work with clients for the region only. So, for instance, we'll get a lot of auditions in Massachusetts and New England for the region of New England clients. So, if we get a Blue Cross Blue Shield, it'll be a regional commercial that will be shown in whatever states in New England only. Okay, the national will go national. Um, and your breakdowns will be totally different. You'll always have regional and local clients, but you're going to go more national. So what I did was, and this was a little, this was a little unorthodox for New England, but what I did was I brought national auditions to New England. So that was a weird thing to happen. They didn't SAG-AFTRA didn't know what to make of that one at all, because you're under local contracts when you're dealing with the union. And non-union, they hadn't seen that at all. They literally had not seen talent ever from outside of New England audition in New England. So that was pretty cool to be able to bring national and now online and international work into the region. So we are not only national, but we're international. So we could get web usage, we could get national commercial spots, we could get animations that run all over the world. We can get that because we welcome that in. So typically your larger hubs, your New Yorks, your LAs, and agents that are there who have several offices oftentimes, they may be national. They may want to cover you nationally if they're signing you under a contract. Or they might say, no, we don't need to do that. We just need to cover you for LA. So we're going to get in, most of our clients are going to be for LA. And you can work with other agents outside of the geographical jurisdiction. New York is the same way. So,
Can you
yeah.
expand on that, that to let folks know that they can have more than one agent as long as there's not a conflict in region?
Yeah, and that's actually more and more of an industry standard now. And I think the main reason, as I talk to agents about that, is, I mean, I think most try to be reasonable people and good people, and they know that they just can't give any one talent another enough work to live on. They just can't. Even the bigger agencies can't do that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so if you sign exclusive, I know you didn't ask me about
No,
contracts,
go
but it's
ahead. Go
sort of
ahead.
connected. Yeah. If you sign exclusive, I think it's a wonderful compliment to, especially if it's an upper tier agency. It's like they love you. You're good. Check, check. But meanwhile, you have to go away and say, am I going to be married to this agency? And I always feel like it's better to date before you get married. You
Mm,
could go for months and months without auditions, or you could go and get auditions and not get booked, and then you can't work anywhere else.
I
So
see.
what I suggest is, work with different people, work with different places, work with different agencies. A lot of the agencies that sign you exclusively, they want a cut of every single job you do, whether they had a hand in getting that job to you or not. You
Hmm.
could go get a personal client, they want a cut of that. So that's like another reason to be careful of an
Yeah.
exclusivity contract, you know. So there's good and bad with that. But in the larger hubs, you're going to get, you know, you're going to get regional clients, you're going to get national clients, you're going to get international clients.
Cool. Now, do you, JT tried to touch on this earlier. Do you feel like there is a time in business or number of jobs that a person like, or not even that a person thinks they need to do, that that an agent would go, okay, yeah, I'll consider you, or is it just all about the voice and the demo and the acting?
Um, Jen, can you say that again? I just
Yeah.
want to make sure I
So,
understand the
does an
question.
actor, before they decide to submit to an agent, is it is there sort of a standard time in business or like a certain number of jobs or kind of like clients that they, you know, like kind of can present to you in a resume form, go, look, here, I've been doing work and I can prove myself and I'd love to get representation? Or is it really come down to the demo, the voice, and the pitch?
Yeah, see, that's such an awesome question. It's so subjective too. So I have agent friends that are in, you know, upper tier agencies. They're very big, and they're quite honest. They'll say, listen, we can't listen to you, we can't review you unless you have X amount of credits, unless you've worked with X amount of jobs or agencies, or we have our criteria for what would make us listen to you. The boutique agencies are a little bit different, and that's why I love smaller boutique agencies, because they're going to oftentimes pay attention to you, remember your name, submit you more. Um, you may be busier, you may not get lost in the agency, right? Because you're kind of the low person on the ladder when you come into a larger scale agency that's had people working in there for years and years and years. You can easily be forgotten and left out, or just not book as easily. So I love the boutiques. I totally love them. And the boutiques, we're a boutique, are seem to be across the board much more open and amenable to newer talent, fresh talent, unproven talent. But again, they still are all similar in that they want to hear that you've done your homework, you know what you're doing, you've got a broadcast quality studio, you've got your source connect ready to go, your demo is killer, it represents you. And those are just kind of the standards that you do need to have in order to be considered uh, professionally. It's really, really important, because if you don't have those, it's like a dead giveaway that you're just not a working professional, because you couldn't work if you didn't have those things in place.
Okay, that's perfect. So do you find for so a couple things that are takeaways that I'm already picking up on are that folks need to do their research. They need to do the research about who they're contacting, because you don't want to contact an agency who may not really work in your type of genre of VO, and then you just look like silly if you did that. But then the other thing is, would you say that having your commercial demo ready to go would be your best calling card?
Well, Jen, I mean, I always felt like yes, because there's so much work in commercial work. You know, I'm a commercial agent. I love the commercial world. You know, a lot of the work is in commercials. However, I do want to pay attention to what the talent is feeling and how they feel. I was just talking to a talent I was working with today, and I said, you know, you should think about making a commercial demo. And he's a young talent, and he said, yeah, to be honest with you, I I I I have a bad reaction to that. I don't like commercial work. I don't want to really do that. I said, well, then don't. Then really don't, because there's so many people standing right behind you who are dying to do it, who love doing it, who
That's right.
appreciate it and want it, and it's their little stories to tell. And so don't force yourself to do it just because you think it's an industry standard. You have to do it because it's a service that you want to sell, you want to represent, and you want to put your heart and soul into. So I think it's a little bit of both, Jen. I think you have to think about that first, because it is a big bread and butter industry.
Hmm.
you have a repugnant feeling towards it, or you're not jazzed by it, or whatever, then pay attention to that, because the truth is you're not going to deliver well. You're not going to want to do the jobs. You're not going to even want to do the auditions. So
So
you'll
let
choose.
me ask one more question, then I'm going to turn it back over to JT because I think she has one or two more questions for you. But my last question is, we kind of hear the, quote unquote horror stories of people who are new to the industry and just don't know what they don't know. So we're not being mean or critical, but they just don't know what they don't know. And they submit before they've submitted to agents before they've even booked a job. Um, we hear the horror story like, oh, that's a black mark, or if you're submitting a home produced demo versus a professional one. In your experience, does this genuinely impact their career, or are you just putting them in the trash pile and moving on? I gotta imagine you don't have time to write back or make your blacklist where you're like writing out names, of people. How do you? I mean, what's kind of the reality of that?
Well, I mean, I can only speak for myself. I'm sure everyone does something a little bit different. I'm moving fast. Like, we're moving really
Right.
fast. So my goal is never to, I don't know what the word is, but never to negate someone or disregard someone or to slight someone in any way. It just isn't. I'm too much of a mama to do that. And I feel like I got a little bit of love and respect for everyone who's trying to make it in this industry,
Okay.
because it's a challenge. So I'm not there to ditch your stuff or trash you or anything like that. I just feel like you have a value, and you're presenting your value to me, just like I'm presenting my value as a business to a client. And if it's not presented professionally, if I'm not following the industry's best practices, if I'm doing something that's offbeat, I just may not be taken as seriously. I'm just may not be in that, that check pile
Yeah.
of, yeah, let's review this and let's get back to them. And maybe like, we're going to wait because they're not ready yet. They're just not ready yet. They need to go out and do some more learning and some more growing and some more training. And I chalk it up to that. In my mind, I don't have a black ball or black list of any kind. I don't believe in that. It goes against my grain completely. So I
Okay.
see everyone be super successful and super happy about what they're pursuing. But if they get that so-called rejection, which sometimes isn't even a rejection, it's just they can't use your value, or they don't know how to place you, or they already have 10 voices that sound like yours. You have to just, put your armor on. You're all little warriors. You're little VO warriors. You have to put your armor on. You have to say, that's okay. I appreciate you, and I'll be back in 3 or 6 months. Let me go do some work. Let me go approach some other people. The world is really big. You've got a lot of places that you can be sending your stuff and talking to, and lots and lots. Be creative. Be as creative as you can be, and have a group by your side that you can be, having accountability, working on creative ideas, marketing together, because you'll really see that, when one door closes, another one opens. That's just
Yep.
right. So I
That's
don't
excellent.
have that blacklist pile, so to speak. I always feel like if someone sends me um, junk, I'll say, okay, well, that's not it.
Yep.
And if they send me something a year later, if I even remember them, or I remember what they sent to me at the beginning, I would listen to it. I would want to see what they're doing. I'd want to see what they're up to, for
All
sure.
right, cool. All right, well, JT, let me turn it back over to you. I think you had one or two more questions. This is flying by. This has been hugely informative.
It is. And I am looking over my list. I have more than you know. But I'm going to just pick like one or two more top questions. Um, Back in your bio, we mentioned the talent inner circle. And I think with all the discussion on coaching, I'd like you to tell us a little more about what that is.
Oh, sure. Thanks for asking. So the talent inner circle is our subscription base from our studio side. So the studio side, which is Lau Lapides Company, that's our studio, is a separate entity than MCVO. So MCVO runs under the umbrella of Model Club Inc. I run both of them, but just to No, it's a separate entity. So Talent Inner Circle, we call it TIC for short, is under the studio. We created it about 7 months ago because we had a lot of folks who were with us under the studio saying, now that we're all online, we'd like to connect. We're connecting with other people. Is there a way we can form a community together? So I said, yeah, let's do a membership base so that you can, just pay a really low fee every month and just come in, and we're going to offer a ton of programs because whether you're coaching or not, whether you're in production or not, whether you're auditioning or not, everyone's always in between something, and they want support as they're in between things, in between auditions, in between coaching sessions. So the goal was really for professional development, education, connections and networking, and just getting in front of really great people. So I I have running classes that run every week, all in the membership. And then I have drop ins that happen weekly. And those are everyone from agents to casting to producers. I have photographers that come through. I have marketing people. I just feel like I want an organic community that are connected to us to come together. So it becomes a one stop shop for people who are looking for different advice, resources, services, rehearsal buddies, readers. I mean, you name it, you're going to find it in the group. So we have about 120 or so members in our group now. We launched it about 7 months ago, and it's just so exciting to just be together and see each other. And it's really funny, JT. We were in Atlanta, and we got to see some of our people in person, and it was just so joyous. It was so incredible to hug and kiss people that we've only seen online and met online, and just to get to be with them and support them in their endeavor. So that's what the Talent Inner Circle is. It's just a really fun, exciting, and educational online, 100% online community. And everything we do is recorded. So everyone's always watching the replays, which is really,
Nice.
yes.
Yeah. Those educational moments are so often lost when it happens. And you're like, wait, what did I say? How did, and yeah, the replays are just, they're invaluable for sure. Uh, oh my gosh, 8:56.
I bet talk.
Holy cow. Um, AB, I'm going to let you take over here.
Okay, I'm happy to take over here, and we are done, and it has been amazing. Law, thank you for joining us. But
No, wait, before we let her go.
oh, yep, that's what I was gonna give us some
Okay, I'm sorry.
our James. That's okay. She knows me well enough to know I get distracted easily. Um,
As do we all.
we're gonna ask you a couple of fun questions, James Lipton style.
Oh, I
Um,
love it.
our first question is: what singer, band, or composer are you enjoying right now?
Right now. Oh, that's a good one. Yes. Um, Sergio Mendes and the Brazil 66.
All right.
Love them. Um, and pops of Barry Manilow, which really get me going.
I love Barry Manilow. I grew up
Mm,
with Barry Manilow
mm,
records in my home.
mm.
What
Just
about
try so hard.
podcasts? What about podcasts? What's your favorite podcast recently?
Oh, are you ready for a shameless plug?
Huh?
It's a podcast that I'm involved with, actually, that I really, really deeply love. It's Anne Ganguz's VO Boss, and I have been a guest co-host on it with her for 8 months. And I love it because, well, I love her. But aside from that, we just go on these like little Alice in Wonderland journeys down rabbit holes, and it becomes philosophy and psychology and, spirituality and just everything about not just voiceover, but about being a person in the world and being a business owner and being family members and how we balance all of that. So I find it incredibly useful and informative, but also therapeutic as well. So that's my favorite.
I
Yeah,
have to agree. And I think I've listened to almost every one of those episodes.
Oh, thank you. That's so great. I love it. We get together on a Saturday, we bang out 2 or 3 of them together, and we just enjoy each other's company. And we're on different coasts. She's in Cali and I'm in Boston. And it's like we're right there having croissants together. That's how it feels.
Fun.
Well, speaking of croissants, our last question is, what is your favorite dessert?
Oh, man, you're killing me. There's too many. I will say, believe it or not, I love like birthday cake and frosting. I
That
might sacrifice my kids for that. Like, I just love that.
that's so funny. I hate frosting. I'm such a weirdo. I like the cake, but I don't like the frosting.
I'll take the frosting and I'll give you the cake.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and I'll turn it back over to JT.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thanks to all of you in the audience for joining us as well. We want to remind everybody that Booth Besties has grown to 2 nights a week, so we invite you to join us on Monday and Thursday nights.
And actually, a quick note, Rob Siglampaglia messaged me. We'll have to reschedule him. Something came up, a family matter for Monday. So we will have a new speaker for you on Monday. Don't worry. But in the meantime, be sure to follow VOBB on LinkedIn and connect with each of us, Aleesha, Jen Tophoney, Jen Greenfield on LinkedIn as well. And as I mentioned at the top of the hour, we have opened a new Facebook group. This is similar to our house where you have to answer some questions. We're going to keep it to new and working VO. And so we hope you'll go over there and join. And we also have an announcement we'd like to share with you. So go over and check that out. If you want
Link
to,
at the top.
Oh, thank you. Link at the top. If you want to hear replays of tonight's episode or any previous episodes, you can now listen on our podcast, anywhere you listen to podcasts, or you can find them on our podcast page at boothbesties.com. We're done for tonight, guys. Have a great evening.
Good night.
Good night.
You ladies are awesome. Thank you much. Stay
Thank you,
amazing.
Thank
Law.
you.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to another episode of VO Booth Besties.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast. Well, pretty much anywhere they're playing podcasts.
And follow us on Instagram and Facebook so we can keep the conversation going.
VO Booth Besties. Yeah, it's a thing.